Hello everyone, welcome to New Wealth Japan. I'm thrilled to have you here today. This channel is dedicated to helping travelers from around the world discover and experience the very best of Japan. From ancient temples and historic castles that have stood for centuries, to the vibrant world of anime, unique Japanese souvenirs, and incredible cuisine that will tantalize your taste buds, we cover it all. Japan is a country where tradition meets innovation, where you can enjoy a traditional tea ceremony in the morning and explore cutting-edge technology districts in the afternoon. It's this beautiful contrast that makes Japan so fascinating. We're passionate about sharing hidden gems, travel tips, and cultural insights that will make your Japanese adventure unforgettable. Whether you're planning your first trip or you're a seasoned Japan traveler, we've got something special for you. I'm truly grateful that so many people from all corners of the world share this passion for Japanese culture with us. Your enthusiasm and curiosity inspire every video we create. So sit back, relax, and let's explore Japan together. Let's get started.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the Tokyo Imperial Palace. Now, this place is absolutely stunning, but it's built on this incredible history of samurai power, total destruction, and then rebirth. So today, we're going to tackle the 7 biggest questions that visitors have when they come here. And let's kick things off with the most obvious one. So you get here, you see these gigantic moats, these absolutely massive stone walls. And your first thought is, wait a minute, this place looks like a fortress, right? A castle. So why on earth is it called a palace? And this is what's so fascinating. You've got these ancient, seriously imposing castle defenses. And then right there, you have this elegant, modern palace. It's like 2 totally different worlds, 2 completely different identities, just sitting right on top of each other. Okay, to figure this out, we gotta rewind the clock. See, this place wasn't built for an emperor, not at all. This was Edo Castle. This was the command center, the heart of power for the Tokugawa shoguns. I mean, these were the guys who really ran Japan for more than 250 years. But then, boom, 1868, the Meiji Restoration comes along and completely flips the script. The emperor, who for centuries had been more of a spiritual leader without much real power, suddenly takes charge. He packs up, moves the whole imperial court from Kyoto to here, to Edo, and basically says, "This fortress is mine now." And just like that, a castle becomes the Imperial Palace. Okay, so this place was once the biggest castle in the world. But when you look around, you realize there's a huge piece of the puzzle missing. And that brings us to our next big question. Yeah, exactly. Think about it. Every epic Japanese castle you've ever seen has that iconic towering main keep, the Tenshukaku. It's the whole point. But here, at the site of the biggest one ever built, there's just sky. So where is it? What happened? Oh, there was a tower, all right, and it was an absolute monster. When it was finished back in 1638, it soared 58 meters into the sky. That made it the tallest castle keep in Japanese history, period. But here's the crazy part. It only stood for less than 20 years. And today, all you can see is this massive stone base. The tower itself, it was completely wiped out in 1657 by something called the Great Fire of Mireki. This wasn't just a small fire, it was a disaster that leveled most of the city. And what's really amazing is they never rebuilt it. So why not? Well, the reason is just incredible. One of the shogun's top advisors, a guy named Hoshina Masayuki, stood up and said, look, a castle tower is a symbol of war. We're in an era of peace now. It's not necessary. He argued that the money, all that cash for rebuilding, should go to helping the people who lost everything in the fire. I mean, what an incredibly forward-thinking and practical decision. And you know, that same kind of practical thinking shows up again centuries later during the incredibly high-stakes moment that didn't just transfer the castle to the emperor, but actually gave birth to a brand new capital, Tokyo. I mean, really think about this for a second. For more than 1,000 years, the emperor's home was Kyoto. That was the sacred, symbolic heart of the entire country. So why on earth would you move the capital to Edo, the stronghold of the very guys you just kicked out of power? It sounds like a crazy gamble, right? So why'd they do it? Well, when you get right down to it, the answer was money. The new Meiji government was basically broke. They had no cash to build a new capital from scratch in Kyoto or Osaka. But Edo? Edo was a jackpot. It had the whole infrastructure of the shogun's government just sitting there, ready to be used completely for free. And none of this would have even been possible without something called the bloodless surrender of the castle. Picture this: a massive imperial army is about to attack the city. It's going to be a bloodbath. But at the very last minute, tense negotiations between the shogun's top guy and the imperial general succeed. They call off the attack. It was an act of incredible political courage that saved not just the city, but all of that priceless infrastructure from being destroyed. So the castle itself was saved from that battle. But that doesn't mean its buildings were safe. Far from it. The palace that we see standing here today has gone through its own unbelievable cycle of destruction and rebirth. So after Emperor Meiji moved in, they built this absolutely grand palace in 1888, a real showpiece. But then, tragically, in 1945, during the air raids of World War II, the whole thing was burned to the ground, completely destroyed. So the building you're looking at today, the new palace, was actually finished in 1968. Built right on the ashes of the old one. But, and this is the amazing part, while the main palace you see is pretty new, some of the original Edo period structures did survive. They made it through the end of the samurai era. They made it through the war. Everything. These keeps, these gates, and of course the original stone walls and moats, they are genuine, authentic echoes from the time of the shoguns. So what you've got here is this incredible mix of history, right? Old and new, all jumbled together. So what does that actually mean for you as a visitor? What can you see and do? Let's get into the practical stuff, the questions everybody asks when they show up at the gates. All right, this has to be the #1 question people ask. Can I go in and meet the emperor? And the short answer, I'm afraid, is usually no. You have to remember, this is the emperor's actual home and official workplace, so almost all of it is strictly off-limits to the public. However, there are 2 very special exceptions. Just twice a year, on January 2nd for the New Year's greeting, and on February 23rd for the emperor's birthday, they open up the inner grounds. And on those days, you can actually see the imperial family as they come out onto the palace balcony to greet the huge crowds. Okay, time for a little myth busting. This is a fun one. You've seen the photo a million times, right? That gorgeous, iconic stone bridge. Everyone calls it Nijubashi, or the double bridge. But is it really? Nope. The bridge everyone takes a picture of is actually called the Saimon Ishibashi. The real Nijubashi is the iron bridge you can just barely see behind it. So why the name double bridge? Well, the original bridge in that spot was made of wood, and because the moat was so deep, they had to build it with 2 levels, one stacked on top of the other. Hence, double bridge. So even though you can't get into the main palace area most days, there is a huge part of the old castle grounds that you can, and absolutely should, explore. The East Gardens. They're open to the public almost every day, and they're built on what used to be the very heart of Edo Castle. And guess what you'll find there? That's right, the massive stone foundation of that lost tower we were talking about earlier. And that really brings us right back to where we started. So, is it a castle or is it a palace? Well, the truth is, it's both. It's like a physical timeline of Japan's history, a place where the ghosts of the shogun's mighty fortress literally serves as the foundation for the home of the modern emperor. You know, a place like the Imperial Palace really proves that history isn't just something you read about in a book, it's literally the ground we walk on. And it really makes you think, what incredible stories of tough decisions, of survival, of complete transformation are hidden in plain sight, right where you live? All right, let's talk about Tokyo. Smack in the middle of that incredible, bustling city, there's this massive green oasis, the Imperial Palace. It's this place of just, serene beauty and deep, deep history, sitting right in the center of it all. But here's the thought. What if I told you that the name we all use, the Imperial Palace, doesn't really tell the whole story? What if it's kind of wrong? That it actually hides a way bigger, more powerful past? Okay, let's dive into this. You see, this place really has 2 completely different identities. On one hand, yes, it's the Imperial Palace, where the Emperor of Japan lives. But for most of its life, it was known as something else entirely. Edo Castle, the epic fortress of the shoguns who ran Japan for centuries. So to really get what this place is all about, you have to look beyond the modern palace you see today and uncover the fortress that it's built on. We're going to trace its journey from a shogun's military command center to an emperor's modern home. So here's the big reveal. What you're walking on today is built on the ruins of what was once the largest feudal castle on the entire planet. Seriously, this wasn't just some fancy residence. It was the military and political nerve center of feudal Japan. It was practically a city within a city, designed to be unconquerable. Let's quickly walk through how this all happened. It all started back in the 1600s when the Tokugawa shoguns went all out building this incredible fortress. Then, boom, 1868, the Meiji Restoration changes everything. The emperor packs his bags, moves from Kyoto, takes over the castle, and renames the city from Edo to Tokyo. Fast forward, and you see that a huge earthquake and then World War II sadly wiped out most of the original buildings. And finally, in 1968, a really key part of that old fortress, the East Gardens, was opened up for everyone to enjoy. Now check this out. What's so cool here is you can see just how huge this castle was. Look at the map from 1657 on the left and then the one from 1889 on the right. The city totally modernizes, buildings come and go, but the one thing that stays constant is that massive system of moats. The modern city of Tokyo literally grew up around the defensive lines of this ancient fortress. So when you visit today, remember, you're not just taking a stroll through a pretty park. You're walking through layers of history. Let's find some of those key pieces of Edo Castle that are hiding in plain sight. So as you're walking around, keep an eye out for these incredible relics. You can't miss the huge stone walls, the ishigaki. I mean, the scale is just breathtaking. You can actually stand on the stone foundation of the main castle tower, the Tenshu-dai, and just try to imagine how massive it must have been. You'll also spot original guardhouses and defensive gates that once protected the shogun. And, of course, there's that super famous Nujubashi Bridge leading to the inner grounds. And this is a perfect example of how names can be a little tricky. Nijubashi literally means double bridge, but it's not talking about two bridges next to each other. The name actually comes from the original wooden bridge in the back, which was built so high over the deep moat that it needed a two-level structure to support it. Today, it's the grand, formal entrance to the inner palace, a true icon of the grounds. Okay, so are you feeling inspired to go see it all for yourself? Let's get down to the practical stuff. Here's your essential guide to planning the perfect visit. You've basically got two main options here. First up, the East Gardens. This part is totally free, you don't need a reservation, and it's where you can wander around the historic inner defenses of Edo Castle. The second option is the guided palace tour. For this, you absolutely need a reservation, and it takes you into the inner grounds to see the outside of the modern palace buildings. So, two very different ways to experience the same place. Now, if you want to do that guided tour, you have to be organized. Applications go live online at 5 a.m. Japan time on the first day of the month before you plan to visit. And believe me, they fill up fast. If you get in, you'll receive a permit number. On the day of the tour, you must bring that number and a valid ID, like your passport. And I mean your actual passport, not a photocopy. They won't accept it. And yeah, be ready for a good walk. The guided tour route is about 2.2 kilometers long, and the whole thing takes about an hour to complete. So, to make sure your visit goes smoothly, just a few key things to remember. First, and this is a big one, wear comfortable shoes. Seriously. Next, there's not a lot of shade on the route, so bring a hat or sunscreen depending on the weather. They do inspect bags, so it's probably best to travel light. And finally, always double-check the calendar. Tours are a no-go on Sundays, Mondays, and some public holidays. And here's a fantastic insider tip from a fellow traveler. There's a free official audio guide app, which is great, but downloading the audio files can be super slow. So here's the pro move. Wait till you get just past signpost number 4. You'll find a Wi-Fi access point there. Connect to it and download everything you need right then and there before you start the tour. So much smarter. So when you really think about it, what is this place? It's a bit of a paradox, right? It's this calm, peaceful public park, and it's the home of a modern monarchy. But it's all built on the ghost of one of the most powerful military fortresses in history. And that really brings us back to that first question. When you walk through those ancient gates, across those giant plazas, what are you going to see? The elegant home of an emperor, or the powerful hidden heart of a shogun's mighty castle? I guess you'll have to go and decide for yourself.
And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed exploring this part of Japan with us. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more travelers like you who love Japan. And here's the most important part. If you haven't already, please subscribe to New Wealth Japan and hit that notification bell. By turning on notifications, you'll be the first to know whenever we upload a new video. We post new content regularly, featuring different destinations, food experiences, and cultural insights across Japan, so you won't want to miss out. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Do you have any questions about what we covered today? Is there a specific place in Japan you'd like us to feature in an upcoming video? Maybe a particular Japanese dish you're curious about, or a cultural tradition you want to learn more about? Please share your thoughts, questions, and suggestions in the comments below. We read every single comment, and your feedback helps shape our future content. Also, if you've been to Japan before, we'd love to hear about your experiences. Share your favorite memories or travel tips with our community. Let's learn from each other. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of our New Wealth Japan family. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, safe travels, and see you in the next video. Sayonara.